But for him, Bahá'u'lláh, no divine messenger would have been invested with the robe of prophethood, nor would any of the sacred scriptures have been revealed. To this bear witness all created things. Of old did we send Moses with our signs and said to him, bring forth thy people from the darkness into the light and remind them of the days of God. Amos said, and it is quoted in the epistle to the son of the wolf, he called Israel, prepare to meet thy God, O Israel. Man was taught, encouraged, and urged to prepare himself for the day of the Lord, for Bahá'u'lláh. Abdul-Baha tells us, the holy realities of the conquerors on high yearn in this day, in the most exalted paradise, to return unto this world so that they may be aided to render some service to the threshold of the Abha beauty and arise to demonstrate their servitude to his sacred thresholds. For centuries, the holy realities, the people, the prophets were waiting for the day of the Lord. Jesus prepared man and told them to repeat Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come. Holy people, they cried and prayed to witness this great day. They composed poems express themselves in the most beautiful ways, such as these. How long? This is a prayer revealed 300 years ago, addressed to Bahá'u'lláh. How long will this torrent of tears flood from each lash in my longing to meet thee? O, the unique one, my beloved. Will the night of thy separation ever end, O thou whose agony and tribulations have, as an arrow, pierced the hearts of thy lovers? Multitudes are occupied in thy praise, whilst thou art hidden from them. To the abode of the pious and the religious I went. Before thy countenance I found all bowing and prostrating. Of one time I was a hermit of the hermitage, another a refugee in the monastery, and again a resident in the mosque. Verily, O beloved, house to house, it's thee I have sought. Upon whichever door I knock, I find the master of the house is thee, thee alone. In pagan temple, in monastery, thou art the beloved. Thee, Bahá'u'lláh. Well, this is in parentheses. That's what I say. Thee, thee alone. My goal in the Kaaba and the temple is thee, thee alone. Thou art my purpose. Kaaba and temple are but excuses. Helpless Baha'i, who composed this, helpless Baha'i, whose heart is rent by thy sorrows, however sinful he may be, is one among the multitudes of thy servants. His hope is the perpetual compassion. His sins anticipate thy mercifulness. Surely no other excuse has one for sins. Man had in his lips, in all scriptures, the first letter of the name of the Lord. Rashid, in all scriptures, be in 113 out of 114 chapters of the Quran. Bismillah, Bahá'u'lláh. All these prayers, Bahá'u'lláh, the prayer listener and the prayer answerer, heard and answered when the time was ripe. First he sent his prophet martyr, the exalted Bab, to prepare man for him. The Bab said, I am the promised Qa'im. And out of his great love for Bahá'u'lláh, he prayed to him, O remnant of God, I have sacrificed myself wholly for thee, consented to be cursed for thy sake, and to have yearned for naught but martyrdom in the path of thy love. When Bahá'u'lláh, the sun of reality of Bahá'u'lláh, shone upon the hearts of men in his time, in Persia, Iraq, and some more countries, it arose people in Turkey, in India, in Caucasus, in Sudan, in Jordan, in Egypt, in Burma, in Turkestan, in Syria, and Palestine. He penetrated his love into the hearts of thousands of men who answered his call. And what was his call? His call was this wonderful ode that Bahá'u'lláh has revealed it in the mountain of Sulaymaniyah to anyone who would love to know him and to know and serve him, even nowadays. If thine aim is be to cherish thy life, approach not our court. But if sacrifice be thy heart's desire, come, and let others come with thee. For such is the way of faith. If in thy heart thou seekest reunion with Baha, shouldest thou refuse to tread this path, why trouble us? Be gone. With this call, no promise of material things, thousands of people who were waiting for him and crying for him, they joined him. They hastened to follow him. Bahá'u'lláh accepted all kinds of suffering. The Blessed Beauty had consented to be bound with chains that mankind may be released from its bondage, and had accepted to be made a prisoner within this mighty stronghold, that the whole world may attain unto true liberty. He suffered such kind of suffering that he told us the eyes of creation have never been gazed upon one wronged him. Those who followed him, those who cherished his love in their hearts, they hastened to him by all their resources, everything in their hand, by their very lives, to offer it in his path. Bahá'u'lláh has shown to the world his great, great power, mysterious power, tremendous power, that man from all walks, the rulers, the high people in society, all men are amazed of the power of Bahá'u'lláh. Even the atheists, even the enemies of Bahá'u'lláh would admit and would be astonished of the power, of the influence and power of Bahá'u'lláh. Even to these days, in the cradle of his faith, he made wonderful souls to arise and respond to him, to give their lives with eagerness, with great zeal. And these people, from amongst intellectual people, learned men, the most learned men of their time, professors, engineers, everybody whose heart was touched by the love of Bahá'u'lláh, because they recognized the voice of their shepherd, the Lord, Bahá'u'lláh. As I mentioned, they awakened man, woke the whole mankind. And they could feel it, so that it moved them to admit the power of Bahá'u'lláh, to admit and praise this great power. The rulers, our president, as well as all leaders of mankind, the president who called rulers of the earth to join with him in support of the followers of Bahá'u'lláh. The president who, I would say, responded and will continue to respond the commandment of Bahá'u'lláh in the book of Aqdas, addressed to him and the presidents of Americas. They were bidden by Bahá'u'lláh to arise and bind with the hands of justice the broken and crush the oppressor with the rod of the commandments of their Lord. Congressmen, senators, scientists, intellectual people, all people in society, they joined with the followers of Bahá'u'lláh, with the innocent people, to call, in the beautiful words of the beloved Shawqi Effendi, all these in the media and all their wonderful statements inspired by Bahá'u'lláh served as a trumpet call, in the sounding of which the press of the world, the cries of its vociferous enemies, the public remonstrances of both men of good will and those in authority, have joined, proclaiming far and wide its existence. Not only the Baha'is, all these people. I remember the beloved Shawqi Effendi said to me, he said, Bahá'u'lláh has hired the nature to serve him. The nature is serving Bahá'u'lláh. Proclaiming far and wide its existence, publicizing its history, defending its verities, unveiling its truths, demonstrating the character of its institutions, and advertising its aims and purposes. Those who suffered in his path, they showed such courage, enthusiasm, love for Bahá'u'lláh that made even the enemies of the faith to tremble their courage, their love has shaken the foundation of this planet. Through their those who tried them, interrogators, who brought all kinds of torture to them, day and night, continued for hours and days. Their answer was that in whatever religion you are, if you believe in God and worship God, we swear by God, we swear by Moses, by John, by Jesus, by all the prophets, that the love of Bahá'u'lláh in our hearts shall never, that ignition, that torch shall never be faded. You allow me to say once in a while in the original language. It sounds beautiful. به هر دین که داری و هر مذهبی، به یحیی، به موسی، به عیسی قسم، که عشقت ز دل رفتنی نیست. به پروردگار توانا قسم. Soaring by the Almighty God. به مهر و به ماه و به چرخ و فلک، به کوه و به دشت و به دریا قسم. به پروردگار توانا قسم. اگر میشناسی خداوند را، به ذات خداوند یکتا قسم. These were the words in their lips to their interrogators, that if thou worship God, we swear by God, که عشقت ز دل رفتنی نیست. That thy love, O Bahá'u'lláh, will not go away from our hearts. This was their answer, and they hastened to the field of martyrdom. Until this such publicity, which has amazed the whole world, we are hearing since their torture and suffering. These people, according to Bahá'u'lláh, through his own suffering and the suffering of his believers, has shaken the foundation of the world. It moved the leaders of mankind to announce and to acknowledge the power of Bahá'u'lláh. A certain Lord Wadden, before the throne of Her Majesty's Queen, in the house of the Lord. Friends, in the house of the Lord, not in the house of justice. He was moved to announce that from the blood of every Baha'i martyr, 1,000 new Baha'is will spring. He said it before the throne of that government, in the highest place with that majesty in Great Britain. And of course, Bahá'u'lláh had heard it. And when I thanked him, he was moved. And I moved with him when I noticed that he put his hand in his pocket, gave me his card with the number of his telephone and telex, and wiping his tears with his handkerchief. The thing that both of us cried. I told him, your Lord, Bahá'u'lláh inspired you to make such a statement that at least for 1,000 years, the Baha'i children, adults, and youth will repeat these beautiful, beautiful words. That from the blood of every Baha'i martyr, 1,000 new Baha'is will spring. Friends, these were the response of the people, of the followers, of the lovers of Bahá'u'lláh, and those in authority. And those who hasten to the field of martyrdom, where did they go? Bahá'u'lláh tells us in a prayer. Cause me, O my Lord, to be reckoned among them who have been so stirred up by the sweet savors that have been wafted in thy days, that they have laid down their lives for thee and hastened to the scene of their death in their longing to gaze on thy beauty, and in their yearning to attain thy presence. Ya Bahá'u'lláh, how? They were hastening with their eagerness to attain the presence of Bahá'u'lláh. And were anyone to say unto them on their way, whither go ye? They would say unto God, the all-possessing, the help in peril, the self-subsisting. These are the things, friend, that happen and is happening during our lifetime. Do you remember that wonderful call of Abdul Baha, who says, do you know in what age and what time in the history you live in? Unique. Close to the apostolic age and the ministry of the beloved of our hearts, Shawqi Effendi, who, with Abdul Baha, had the assignment to interpret the writings of Bahá'u'lláh and establish his kingdom on earth and bring about the world order of Bahá'u'lláh. The Father, one of the names of Bahá'u'lláh, that the beloved Shawqi Effendi said, it's hard for the missionaries and priests to hear this name. His name would be called wonderful through the power of Bahá'u'lláh, brought that world order of Bahá'u'lláh into being. He suffered, Abdul Baha suffered. They followed the example of Bahá'u'lláh and the Bab until they completed their ministry. And the beloved Shawqi Effendi did not leave us in this mortal world until he completed his ministry and brought that world order of Bahá'u'lláh in embryonic form to us. Then he was called to the Abhai kingdom. And now, through the conferring infallibility conferred on the house of justice, the cause of God is rapidly progressing and spreading in all parts of the world. The more I travel, the more I repeat, Lord, increase my astonishment in thee. For the last two months, I've been traveling almost constantly. And so many times I cried and rendered thanks to Bahá'u'lláh. When I met Baha'is in all these countries, different classes, different races, colors, all ignited by the love of Baha'u'lláh, working day and night. I attended several summer schools in Europe. In the meantime, I could see, in spite of my burning desire to go to every one of them, I could not make it because every day there was several summer schools in different places. So is the case in every part of the world and here in the United States and North America. Friends, Bahá'u'lláh, before his arrival to Akka, where it was told that the Holy Land, Akka, will be the footstone of Bahá'u'lláh, and he would live with men in that Holy Land. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away. And there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men." Ya Bahá'u'lláh, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. Can we believe it? And God himself, his name, Isaiah said, would be mighty God. And God himself shall be with them and be their God. All these prophecies had to be fulfilled in the Holy Land, Baha'u'llah's arrival in Akka as a prisoner who promised to establish his kingdom on this earth. In order to establish his kingdom, he formulated his laws and commandments. In the first passage of the book of Aqdas, he told us the first duty prescribed by God for his servants is the recognition of him in the day spring of his revelation and the foundation of his laws, who represented the Godhead in both the kingdom of his cause and the world of creation. And then he says, "It behooveth everyone who reacheth this most sublime station, this summit of transcendent glory, to observe every ordinance of him who is the desire of the world. These twin duties are inseparable. Neither is acceptable without the other. Thus hath it been decreed by him who is the source of the divine inspiration." Twin, dual, recognition of Baha'u'lláh and observing his laws and his commands, ordinances. The laws of Baha'u'lláh which will change this universe. The laws of Baha'u'lláh that will make this world paradise. In order to do this, he brought his world order and inspired the Bab to give the glad tidings while he was in the mountain of Maku. Well, it is with he who fixes his gaze upon the order of Baha'u'lláh. The world order of Baha'u'lláh, and bringing justice and administrative laws and ordinances to man. He left for us and for the world and gave it to Abdul Baha and the beloved Shoghi Effendi, the pattern to accomplish it. He established the two spiritual and administrative world center in the Holy Land, near the shrine of his prophet martyr held the Bab, and predicted that in future all the leaders of mankind will turn to that body for guidance. It is as if now I hear with my ears the resounding words of the beloved Shoghi Effendi, who said, ere long, the leaders of mankind will be helpless to administer their affairs, and they'll rush to the universal house of justice for guidance. I never forget the time that he raised his hand and he said, and I will enforce any decision made by the House of Justice without any hesitation. And now he's doing that in the Abha Kingdom. He brought that body and the world order of Bahá'u'lláh, infallibility to man. Such a thing that all the prophets said and is the goal of the teachings of Baha'u'lláh. We are all working for that wonderful goal. Friends, now we have reached to the point that the Universal House of Justice is asking us to start a new phase in the cause of Baha'u'lláh. I remember the beautiful words of the beloved Shoghi Effendi when he said to me, he said, the cause of Baha'u'lláh goes through phases, stages. امر جمال مبارک تطورات داره، مرحله طی میکنه، مرحله به مرحله. And now we are entering a new phase that the Universal House of Justice has asked us to arise and respond according to our own capacity and ability. Friends, this is the theme of this conference, taken out from that wonderful message of October 1983, sent by the Universal House of Justice to us. Thanks to Baha'u'lláh. Friends, before I enter this wonderful subject, before I touch on this point, just please forgive me. I'm so moved by the response of the believers, by these wonderful souls who gave their lives for Baha'u'lláh. I am moved I am moved to call on that wonderful, wonderful martyr, who is now enjoying the presence of his beloved. In the Abha kingdom. I'm moved to call on him from this place, to call on him to let us repeat that wonderful verse which was in his lips the moment he gave up his life. I would like to call on him to let us repeat that wonderful verse and ask him to repeat with us in the Abha kingdom. What he recited at that moment. His beloved name is Oji. I'm calling on him. Oji mine, Oji ours, do you hear me? صبا از ما بگو با کرم شب که از کوری چشمت دو چشمم بر جمال مهر روشن روشن است امشب. My voice is low and he is living in the Abha kingdom, such lofty place. I don't think my voice would reach him. To send his message to the ring enemy of the cause and tell him how he's enjoying. I'm calling on Dr. Chernievsky, who helped me to translate this verse, to say it in English. صبا از ما بگو با کرم شب که از کوری چشمت دو چشمم بر جمال مهر روشن روشن است امشب. Dr. Chernievsky is here? Would you please?
before the wind to that night crawler. Pity, pity, thine eyes have never had sight. Mine eyes blaze with brilliant light. The sun of reality dazzles, dazzles this night.
We have repeated that wonderful verse that was in his lips, and now I wonder if he joined with us to repeat it in this meeting. All of us, with our generals, the members of National Special Assembly, and all the beloved friends, we are sending this message to them to know and to tell him who? The night crawler. Also, that the doors of the house of worship in the heart of the Pacific are flung wide before his blind eyes. که ابواب مشغول از کار در ساموا در قلب جزایر پاسیفیک مفتوح گردید. Friends, I feel such excitement that prevents me to continue and speak about the subject. May Bahá'u'lláh bless you. I chant a prayer from Abdul Baha in praise of Bahá'u'lláh, the Father, the mighty God. ولدها ای عاشق روی بها، گویند چون ابراهیم خلیل را در آتش سعیر انداختند. جبرئیل ندا کرد هل لک حاجتون. خلیل جلیل فرمود اما الیک فلا. کفا عن سؤالی و علمه به حالی. تو نیز توجه به ملکوت غیب حضرت ابها کن و بگو ای هادی ابرار، ای مونس اخیار، ای واقف اسرار، جانم به فدایت. ای دلبر دلجوی، ای گل رخ محروی، ای سرور خوشخوی، جانم به فدایت. حاجت تو بدانی، حاجت تو بدانی، هرچند نهانی در هر دم و آنی، جانم به فدایت. عینین.